First of all, welcome everyone to this Pipefy webinar. This is Isabel from Pipefy's Customer Success team, and today we're going to be talking about one of our advanced features called automation. Today you'll learn more about how you can use automation to help you and your team save time and make your processes more efficient and productive. To begin with, we need to talk about what is automation. Automation is a system that employs automatic processes that command and control mechanisms for their own operation. The word automation originated from the Greek term automatos, that means moving on your own or the one that moves on its own. The traditional concept of automation is almost always related to the idea of machines performing tasks without human interference, such as robots, artificial intelligence, etc. The type of automation we're talking about today, though, refers to automating human work that's performed continuously and repeatedly in an almost robotic manner. What is automation? Process automation is the application of computer technology with the goals of reducing the necessary resources to perform a task, reducing costs, improving efficiency. It's a set of techniques focused on making processes more efficient by minimizing waste and making information security a priority. So how does automation work in Pipefy? Automation is one of Pipefy's advanced features that allows users to automate action using a specific type of logic, event action. It's simple. Whenever an event pre-established happens, an action also pre-established will automatically be triggered in response. The most important thing we need to talk about automation is how much time you can save. We've conducted a study with a few of our users, and based on their usage data, we estimate that each automation triggered can save an average of 8 minutes of work. It may seem like a little time, just 8 minutes, but let's imagine that you can set many different automation rules to automate a single workflow. If you set up 4 automation rules to a single workflow, you save around 32 minutes for each new card or activity that runs through that automated process. An event is something that happens in Pipefy to kick off the previously set up automation flow. We currently have 6 different events. Created card, which means that the automation is triggered when a card is created in a specific pipe. Moved card, a card is moved to a specific pipe in a specific phase in a specific pipe. Updated field, the automation is triggered when a field is filled or updated with or without conditions. We're going to talk about conditions in a few minutes. Number 4, all connected cards moved, which means that the automation is only triggered when all connected cards connected to a parent card are moved to a specific phase. Recurring activity, the automation is triggered at a specific date and time. This specific event can only be used with the move card and create new card actions. And the 6th is when an alert is triggered. So it means that the automation is triggered whenever an alert, late, expired, or overdue is triggered. Now on to the actions. The action is what happens in response to the event once the automation is triggered. We currently have 5 different actions, so let's get to it. When the automation is triggered, a new card can be created in a specific pipe. That's the first action. A connected card can also be created, so whenever the event happens, a new connected card is created in a specific pipe. Move parent card. Whenever the automation is triggered, the parent card is moved to a specific phase in a specific pipe. Update field. A field's value information is updated whenever the automation is triggered. And the last but not least, move card. The card is moved to a specific phase in a specific pipe whenever the automation is triggered. To make it easier for you guys to understand, there are many situations in which automations can be used to optimize your team's processes. We're going to go through 4 examples, but there are many more we can use to exemplify how this feature works. The first one is approval flow. So you can set up an automation to automatically create approval requests that will be connected cards and move the purchase request when it's approved or not. The second one is recurring activities. Let's suppose I can create an automation that automatically creates a team meeting card every Tuesday at 9 a.m. The third is that we can establish a late alert to move cards automatically to the follow-up phase and send an automatic follow-up email. And the fourth is automatically assign deals of a certain value to different people depending on the value of the deal whenever they enter your sales pipeline. Before setting up an automation and seeing how everything works, let's understand our examples a little more. The first example is the approval flow. We have a purchase process that has 5 phases: screening, quotation, approval, purchase, and delivery. The approval phase is connected to the purchase approval pipe, where the manager approves the requests. The problem with this process is that it's manual. Everything is done manually, creating, following up, and moving connected cards. The team checks the pipe several times a day to move cards across them, and that costs them a lot of time. The second example will be the recurring activity. So every week on Monday at 9 a.m., create a new card for the team weekly meeting assigned to all team members that should participate. The third example is the follow-up in the lead qualification pipe. So we're going to automatically move cards to the follow-up phase when they become late to send an automated follow-up email. And the fourth example, the sales pipeline. Whenever new deals are created in the sales pipeline, we're going to automatically assign them to different reps depending on the account value. Before I share my screen with you guys, we need to talk about a few important points. When setting up an automation event, users can establish conditions for triggering the action, which means that I'm going to show you guys when we set up our own automations, but I can determine that I only want deals that the value is higher than 5,000 to be assigned to a certain person. So that's a condition. In automations that involve moving cards, make sure the settings allow moving cards to that phase. That goes without saying, but I've made a few mistakes with this one, so it's always important to check if the phase settings allow you to move cards where you want the automation to move them to. And before setting up an automation that involves creating or moving connected cards, you need to create a connection between the pipes. This also goes without saying, but many people forget about it, so it's important that we stress that. The first example we're going to talk about is the purchase process. For this process, we're going to create a few different automations. The first one is to create a new connected card in the purchase approval pipe whenever the cards reach the approval phase. So whenever I move a card from quotation to approval, it's going to automatically create a connected card in the purchase approval pipe. In the purchase approval pipe, we're going to establish that whenever a manager says yes, the card will be moved to approved. And whenever this connected card is moved to approved, this card here in approval will be moved to purchase. In order to set up an automation, the first thing we do is open the Apps and Integrations tab. Alright, let's create the first automation. The first automation we'll create is that whenever a card is moved in pipe purchase process, in web purchase process, to the phase approval, we're going to create a new connected card in purchase approval, and then we're just going to set up the connected card here. I just wanted to say what needs to be purchased so that the manager knows what needs to be purchased. We give names to our automations to make it easier to identify them in a list. Whenever you have a lot of automations, that makes it a lot easier to see what each one of them does. Now we're going to set up an automation that says when a field is updated in the webinar purchase approval, the field is, do you approve this purchase request? And now we're going to add a condition here that says this field is equal to yes. We save, and then we specify that we want to move the card to the phase approved. We could also set up an automation that moved, whenever the answer was no, that moved it to a denied or archived, but we're going to skip that step. And then we're going to establish that when a card is moved in purchase approval to phase approved, we're going to move the parent card in purchase process to phase purchase. There we go. We've set up automation 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to go back to our purchase process. I just moved the card into the approval phase, and you can see that it has a connected card in purchase approval. So we're going to go to purchase approval and see here and just say yes. There you go. It moved to the approved phase. Now we go back to the purchase process, and you can see that it was already moved to the purchase phase without us having to do anything manually. Now on to example number 2. We're going to create a recurring activity in our task management file. So new automation, we're going to select recurring activity that is going to be triggered every week on Tuesday at 9 a.m. We want to create a new card in Pipe Task Management, and then we're going to fill in the information. It's very important that you guys know that this information is static. So the exact same card will be created every week on Tuesday at 9 p.m. So team meeting, and we're going to assign everyone to it and say the time. And for the third example, we're going to talk about the follow-up email. So we're going to determine that it's going to be when an alert is triggered in Pipe lead qualification. The type of alert is late card, and we need to add the condition that the current phase is equal to pending response. So we go ahead and save, and we're going to specify that we want to move card to the phase follow-up. Then we'll come here into the lead qualification pipe. You can see that the phases we mentioned are here: pending response, follow-up. I'm going to show you guys two things. First is the pending response late alert, and then the email template we've set up. So we're going to come here to the lead qualification. This is the phase pending response that we set up as the trigger, a late alert, and we're going to specify that the late alert is 1 minute. We'll hit save. I'm going to move this card into pending response, and we're going to have to wait a minute for it. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you guys the follow-up email we've set up. It's an email template with many different dynamic content. If you guys are interested in learning more about email templates and dynamic content, we have several help content. And then back, this email is set up to be sent automatically whenever a card enters this phase. So it's follow-up email. From name is the assignee. From email, the assignee email. And the to email is the phase where we added the email. And we're going to come back here. There you go. It was moved automatically to follow-up. Then we can open it here and see that the email template we set up was automatically sent when the card entered this phase. And the last example I have to show you guys is the assigning of different leads to different people. So we're going to come here, create a new automation that when a card is created in the sales process and it follows this condition, the deal value is greater than $5,000, we're going to hit save, and we're going to see that update a field's value, and the field's going to be team, and we're going to assign this card to Carol. So whenever an opportunity whose value is higher than 5K, it's going to be assigned to Carol. There you go. We've set one automation for deals over 5K. Now we're going to set the same automation, but for deals that have the different values. So we come here, webinar sales process. We add the condition that the deal value is less than 5,000. We hit save, then update a field value. We're going to select the same field team and add the assignee Victoria. You guys can see that we've set up both automations. So we're going to come back to our process here and say company deal. The deal value is going to be over 5K. So we're going to create this, and then we're also going to create under 5K. So it normally takes a few seconds to update. So you can see that the deal over 5,000 here, 7,500 was assigned to Carol, and then the other deal was assigned to Victoria. So our automations work. Important information. There's a few important conditions you must always consider when creating and using automation. Permissions. The phase settings must allow moving cards between the phases when you move card or the parent card. Mandatory fields. If the destination pipe start form has mandatory fields, they must be filled when matching the information from one pipe to another. Start form only. The fields in the origin pipe can only be matched to the fields in the start form of the destination pipe. 4 is matching field. When matching fields to create cards or connected cards, the corresponding fields must be of the same type. So if you have a number field, you're going to correspond it to another number field, short text to short text, etc. 5th is update field, is that this action is only available for updating fields in the same pipe as the selected in the event. And also you guys should never forget to connect the pipes before setting up an action that demands creating connected cards or moving the parent card. We have a few other examples in which automations can be used to make companies more efficient, such as activity status. So whenever a team finishes a task, moving the task to done, the parent card is automatically moved in the team status pipe. This one is very useful for bigger teams that are divided into squads. So you have the general team management pipe and smaller squad pipe, and then you set up automations to move the card in the team pipe at the same time as it's being moved in the squad pipe. The second is the post-sales process. Assuming that you have different post-sales teams depending on the industry or the deal value, you can set up an automation that whenever a card reaches the end of your sales process, it's going to create a connected card in the correct post-sales team pipe depending on the industry or the deal value, etc. Third is new employee onboarding, that whenever the card reaches the end of your hiring process, you automatically create a new card in the employee onboarding pipe with all the necessary information without having to create the card manually. That's it for the content today, guys. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar. If you guys have any remaining questions or specific use case, feel free to reach out to me via the in-app chat or write to isabel@pipefy.com. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today and see you on the next webinar.